Welcome to the Go for Two podcast, season 2, episode 3. I am your host, Jackson Wallace, and I got my friend, my buddy, my draft party watching friend, Lucas Aver with me. Lucas, how you doing, bud?
Fantastic. Just a big bundle of happiness because football's here. So we can be happy because there's nothing else going on in the world. All right.
Nothing else happening other than football.
My fish is more exciting than the outside world right now, and he sleeps a lot. Believe it or not.
Really?
My man's got big fins, so he's got to chill out. He probably ain't sleeping. He just got to rest. A lot of work swimming around.
Of course.
Those big fins.
Of course. Any orange juice today?
No. Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. I respect it.
Yep.
I respect it. Well, hey, I got a couple things for you as we open up, Lucas. I got a couple comments. Mr. Casey. Once again, just Casey commenting. I know you and me have several friends within our own little friend group that I know watch this podcast. They're just too lazy to comment. Calling you guys out. What's up? I don't know. Just maybe think you'd be a good friend. All right. Anyway, but Casey, our most devoted and loyal listener and watcher of the podcast, he says, "Oh yeah, Brady's got Gronk. That's so awesome." He said, Jackson, Lucas, you guys getting your Bucks jerseys? I definitely am. And then he says, here's a good question for Jackson. He said, Jason Garrett be the offensive coordinator for the Giants. Will Garrett beat the Cowboys in the opener? Sorry, Jackson. At this point, I'm rooting for Garrett to see what he's got. First of all, Casey, how dare you root for Garrett to see what he's got? What? You and me were both equal advocators for wanting this guy to leave. We want to Coach Clapp out, and you're rooting for him? What's up with that? Second part of your question, yes, the Giants are going to beat us in our home opener. I have a feeling they'll. Yes, absolutely. I have a feeling that they're. I have a couple of reasons why. One, I feel like they're going to be more prepared. I feel like I feel like with the Giants coming into this, they've had the Cowboys number for a while. We've beat them a lot recently, and I think that they're going to have our number. I feel like they're going to come out with a lot more fire than we are. I think the Dak contract issue has been a bit of a distraction. I think that CeeDee Lamb, actually, he is going to be wearing number 88, continuing with the Cowboys tradition with Dez Bryant, Drew Pearson, Michael Irvin, and such as that, which I kind of felt was a little bit weird, to be honest with you. He said he wanted number 10. He has his own little special story behind it that I'm not really familiar with. But I feel like him having 88 thrust upon him because Jerry insists is a little too much pressure for CD. I feel like that's kind of like 88's the number we give to like, hey, you're our number one guy. And I feel like it sends a weird message to Amari Cooper. Might be a little bit too much pressure for CD. We'll see how it goes, but I just feel like the Giants are going to be way more prepared for us than the first game. It's going to take the first game or two for us to wake up. So that's just how I think about it.
See, I agree with plenty of the stuff you said, except for I don't see how the Cowboys can't be more prepared. Although I guess you do have a new coaching staff and stuff, but at the same time, like, I mean,
so do they. But
a lot of your players are actually familiar, and they've got like a second-year quarterback, less weapons than you, a special teams coach is their head
but
coach
Garrett's going to want to come out and he's going to want to beat us like straight away.
You don't think the Cowboys are going to want to beat Coach Clapp?
I feel like they are. I just don't feel like they're going to have as much of a sense of urgency. The Giants have had poor seasons for several years in a row. I feel like they want to come out of
squad.
I feel like they want to come out of the gate swinging. Yeah. I do. I really feel like they want to come out of the gate swinging. Like for us, I feel like we're going to go in and throttle the Giants as we have been the past like 4 years.
There's no way y'all lose.
They're going to get us. Dude, I mean, I hope we don't.
I'll call it.
Call it right now. Do it. Lucas, do it. Call it.
All right, it's called. Calling it. Where's it at? Hold up.
Where's your little scribe manual journal?
All right, what am I calling?
The
Cowboys will beat
the Cowboys will beat the Giants.
You want to make it a bet, Jackson? You trying to lose, dog?
No, because why would I be rooting against my Cowboys in the home opener?
All right, Cowboys will beat Giants home opener.
I hope it happens too. I just feel like they're going to catch us, man. I told you from day
I
one.
can't believe you. That's
I
worse. Look, I
What?
picked the Chiefs to beat us, and that's way different. Way different.
We beat the Giants
Then
like
you
2-0
picking
the
the
past like
Giants to
3
beat the
years. We are
Cowboys.
due for an 0-2 year, and it's going to be this year. I have a feeling.
You're wild.
Zeke's still
You're
got his nose
wild.
ring. We have no center. Actually, we drafted a center, but we'll see how good he is. I hope he's really good.
You're wild. I can't believe you. You're a terrible fan. I'm glad you're not a Titans fan. I don't want you to root for my franchise. Lose to the
with,
Giants.
with Mr.
Danny Dimes,
Derrick
Jesus.
Henry. I'm telling you, man. I have a
Hey, you
bad
don't
feeling
need
about this
Derek,
year.
man. You got nose ring, Zeke.
Probably gonna go
Um,
like 6-10 this year.
Is that for comments?
Huh? Oh no, yeah, that's it for the comments. I was just providing my own little comments there at the end. I hope we do well.
Can't stand.
You love me. you know it.
Anyways, Mr. Jackson,
What's up?
we have to do our draft recap.
Yes, we do.
Because we had the draft. So
Dude, what an exciting draft that was. That was a
it
good time.
was. It was cool. It was cool. I don't know if it was as exciting as some other drafts. Like part of me is like, man, that was awesome. But there's like literally no sports going on.
Right.
But like the draft last year in Nashville was a really cool deal. I loved like seeing it in Nashville and
Mhm.
all the people that were out there, and they broke records and stuff with the people that came out. And there weren't as many trades. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Maybe-
But there wasn't a lot of action moving up and down.
Right.
In
Maybe
the
there
order
was.
this year.
Maybe it just kind of felt more special because with everything going on, it's like it was nice to have something to watch.
Yeah. That's what I kind of
And-
started out.
and we
there
had,
with,
like, our
there's
own-
nothing else going on, so
We had our
So
own
it was
virtual
cool.
draft party, and that was fun. a
yeah,
good time.
and that was fun too because usually you go out with people if you want to watch the draft, but
Right. We couldn't, so we just all watched it together. It was a good time.
anyways, I have the whole first round here. We're just gonna run through the first round real quick.
Yes.
I'll say the team and the player. We'll give our thoughts on if we like the pick or not, and then we got some other draft recap stuff we're gonna get to after that.
Let's do it, baby. Let's
But,
do it.
All right. So first off, of course, Cincinnati got Joe Burrow. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think didn't you say something during? I think remember during the draft, Lucas, that the mayor had already sent him like a letter or something. Like
Yeah,
he
read
knew
this
he was
deal
getting
that's
drafted
saying,
for a
yeah,
while.
That he knew like months ahead.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I even seen a thing that said he already had the playbook. He was already studying stuff.
yeah. So like, I mean, best college football player in the past
Yeah,
several
best-
years, or statistically best season in the past like ever. So
I was going to say like stat wise, best quarterback season ever.
no surprise there.
So Washington came in second. Also easy. They went with Chase Young.
He's going to be a terror in the NFC East.
You think
Chase
so?
Young's good. Yeah, Chase Young's good, man.
I'm not sure. I love the pick here. I'm gonna A+. I'm gonna start throwing some letters on here.
Yeah,
All right,
I mean, A
for
plus
both
pick.
these.
I hate it for me. I love it for the for the
I feel
Redskins.
like you had to take him there, but
Absolutely.
also since Washington's never playing with a lead, I'm kind of worried about if he's necessarily going to meet expectations because I feel like people in Washington are like, man, Chase Young's going to come in, he's going to get 15 sacks this year. I don't
Right.
think he'll do that. Now he
Probably not.
could very well get 8 or 10, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to cause a problem for any offensive line. I mean, you have to game plan around him. Especially when you have an edge rusher that can do things like he can, or things like Joey, like the Bosa brothers. Like, it seems like Ohio State knows how to churn out some defensive ends. Quite frankly, So,
Apparently,
cause
they
a
got
problem.
another one coming out next year. I don't know what it
Jeez.
is, man. It's wild. Third overall, Detroit came in and took Okuda, another no-brainer.
yeah, absolutely love it.
Had to refill for Darius Slay since they lost him, so A+. Now we're getting to the weird stuff, Jackson.
Yeah, this was weird for us here.
Yeah, so
Before.
fourth pick, the Giants took offensive tackle Andrew Thomas from Georgia. So I wasn't expecting him to be the first tackle off the board.
Yeah,
I
me
thought-
either. Especially the Giants to take a tackle.
Wills might be a first.
Mm-hmm. Really thought they were going to go Simmons with number 4, but they didn't.
Yeah,
It was surprising to me.
So our friend Tyler was in the draft party with us, and I was super surprised that they didn't take Simmons. Like we were all sitting there, and he's like, they're gonna take a tackle because we suck, and he was really hoping for Simmons, and he was super upset. But like overall, I understand you have to get your tackle that you want. I wish they could have moved back. That's why I like them moving back right there so much. But
Yeah, because
alas.
they could have gotten that player at 8 or 9, for sure.
Fifth overall, Miami took Tua.
Tua.
I think that's awesome. A plus. They got the quarterback they wanted. Like all year, they lived by tank for Tua, and they did it.
Yeah, we thought they might have tried to move up to grab him, but I was really surprised no one moved up or down in the first 5. Everybody seemed content to stay with those picks. I mean, you go grab Tua. The question just becomes, do you play him right away or not? I don't know. I think you sit him, but
They will. I think they will.
I think you sit him for a year.
Chargers got Justin Herbert 6 overall. Thoughts, concerns? Good pick. Had to
I
do
mean,
it.
solid pick, I think. I think they would have rather had Tua, obviously. But Herbert's a guy, again, I still think Tyrod's going to start for a year. I don't think Herbert comes in and is a starter straight away. I think he's going to get a chance to learn the playbook and the terminology and the feel for the offense. And we'll see what he can do in 2021. Or maybe halfway through 2020, there's no hope left for the Chargers, and they decide to give their rookie quarterback some reps. I don't know. We'll see.
So, I actually heard someone on one of the ESPN radio stations or something the other day. I was just driving to the grocery store. And I actually heard a guy get on there and say that, I think he's an agent. And I heard him say that the GM for the Chargers is like super anti-injured college players.
Oh, okay.
And that he didn't want to.
Really?
Because of his injuries. So he actually got the quarterback he wanted. And he said that it's weird because the Miami GM, he said that he is actually okay with it. So he got the quarterback he wanted. So apparently both teams got what they wanted. Like the Miami guy, Miami wanted Tua apparently, and the Chargers wanted Herbert.
So it just worked out for him. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Interesting. Very interesting.
What's up next? 7 overall, Carolina, defensive tackle, Derek Brown.
Solid pick. They had to rebuild their defensive line. I mean, they lost most of it in free agency.
Arizona got Isaiah Simmons.
I feel like this is
surprised he fell this far.
Super surprised.
Cool.
One of the best picks of the draft. Arizona instantly gets better. I mean, he's a transgenerational player. So, I mean,
I think Simmons is like the best pick in the first round if you don't have the Cowboys getting CeeDee Lamb, because that was just wild that he fell. Jacksonville at number 9, the bane of my existence. Derrick Henry's personal stiff arm practice dummies. They got cornerback C.J. Henderson from Florida.
Solid pick.
Another good guy.
Okuda's off the board. They lost A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. They had to go corner. Absolutely had to. So, I mean, they get the next best corner on the board. Good pick.
Yeah. A lot of stuff I've seen said that, like, there was Okuda, there was C.J., and then there was all the other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Cleveland, offensive tackle, Jedrick Wills, Alabama. I mean, they needed a tackle. And
Absolutely needed one.
They got a good guy that fell to him. New York Jets, offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton. I thought they would go wide receiver here, but they went with the next tackle.
Yeah, you got to protect Sam Darnold. I can understand the pick. I mean, if there's a tackle there that you absolutely love, you got to go get him.
Yeah, well, like I said before on the Hometown Heroes deal, or not on Hometown Heroes, I'm sorry, on our last episode of the pod. Everything's running together, Jackson.
We're recording a lot this year.
I said that, like, I thought they would take a wide receiver just because you can get the number 1 wide receiver or you can get the number 3 tackle.
Right.
Alas. Las Vegas Raiders.
Now here,
Henry Ruggs first.
Yeah, here we really thought they were going to go Lamb. I mean, I think both of us had them picking Lamb at this point in our mock draft. They go with speed, man. I mean, in their division, they have Tyreek Hill, so they know that speed kills. You can't really teach it. So I'm super surprised they go with Ruggs there. But
can't coach someone to be faster.
That's very true. So, I mean, John Gruden, he has his pick of the litter as far as wide receivers go, and he picked Ruggs. So we'll see how that works out.
Tampa Bay traded to, like, Indianapolis, who traded, or wait. Yeah, Tampa Bay got this pick from San Francisco.
Yes.
Who got it from the Colts. Okay, I was reading it backwards.
Yeah. They traded DeForest Buckner to the Colts for this pick.
Right.
And then
So
they
the Colts
traded
essentially, right. So you could argue that this pick gave the Colts DeForest Buckner and then gave San Francisco Tristan Wirfs.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes. Because they traded this one with Tampa, so Tampa moves up here.
But okay. Everything's
What was interesting, Lucas, is that Tampa Bay was originally at the 15th spot, I think, and so they only moved up one space. Is that right?
yeah, so Tampa Bay
get this
moved up
guy.
one space. Yeah. And so I also listen to ESPN radio. Been doing that a lot this week when I'm supposed to be working but nothing's going on.
It's a good time.
It's a fantastic time. So this guy was on there and he said that was them showing Tom Brady appreciation. Like this is them just showing Tom like, hey, we're gonna move up. We're gonna trade up in the draft to get you your tackle.
Even if it's one spot.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because Denver was kind of rumored to
Try
want
and
to
move up and
tackle.
grab him. Yeah.
So it's whatever. Anywho,
Protect
now
Tom
we're
Brady.
in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because they traded picks.
They got Ken Law. They come in, they replaced DeForest Buckner. Don't have to trade him or don't have to pay DeForest Buckner. So you're doing better on cap space.
Correct.
And
Which is part of our theory, Lucas.
And he's a stud. He's a good guy.
They get a studded defensive tackle and clear up cap space for Deshaun Watson. Am I right?
That's what's happening.
That's what's going on.
Everyone knows. Everyone
called
knows
it here
that's what's
first.
happening. All right. Well, what we got next? Denver takes Jerry Jeudy.
Yes. Denver takes Jerry Jeudy at 16, I believe.
15.
15, excuse me. Yeah.
Weirdo.
So
Honestly, like I was
pick.
surprised Jerry Jeudy fell this far because I thought CD or Jerry Jeudy would end up going to San Francisco, but they got their DeForest Buckner replacement, so like it makes sense. Denver doesn't want any of the tackles that are left compared to the wide receivers that are left,
And they've been depleted. They've been depleted at wide receiver. They traded Emmanuel Sanders in the middle of the season last year to San Francisco, who then he went to go sign with New Orleans. So I mean, they had no wide receivers for Joe Flacco or for Drew Lock. So it makes a lot of sense that they go Jerry.
Some help.
It makes a lot of sense here.
16 overall, Atlanta takes AJ Terrell. So I was kind of surprised that he was the second corner to come off, or third corner to come off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Still happy with the pick though. He's really good.
Absolutely. I mean, you come in and bring a guy that can come in and be an impact player straight away, and they desperately need some help at the corner spot. So, especially with what they have to deal with in the NFC South this year. Ooh.
I'll let you do the honors here, Jackson.
At pick number
overall.
17 in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Bro, when this happened, Lucas can attest. If you guys that watch Hometown Heroes this week, by the way, should, youtube.com/Go2podcast and go listen to Hometown Heroes. It's a separate video that we upload each and every week exclusively to YouTube for you guys who enjoy the Cowboys and Titans content. Anyway, so if you have not watched that yet this week, I'm going to fill you in. When the Cowboys selected CeeDee Lamb, who in my opinion was the best receiver in the draft, when we get CeeDee Lamb at 17, I was so happy. I looked straight into the camera because we're all watching. We're doing a virtual draft party as well. I clapped so hard, I think I sprained my wrist. Like I got up and I clapped and I jumped around and I was jumping for joy at our pick here. We get an immediate impact player. At this point, you're like, oh, well, we could need like Clavion Chassie or somebody. No. We take the best player available. We go put him in the slot. We lost Randall Cobb. We lost Cole Beasley. Doesn't matter. We got Lamb in the slot at this point. He's going to be wearing number 88. I think it's a little bit weird. Thought he probably should have gone 10. It doesn't matter. But, I mean, there's no excuse for Dak Prescott anymore. Dak's going to get his money. He's going to have Zeke right next to him. He's going to have Lamb. He's going to have Gallup and Amari Cooper, both 1,000-yard receiving last year. And we're going to go to work. So I'm super happy with the pick.
I felt like it was a no brainer at the time. You know.
Absolutely.
18th overall.
Mm-hmm.
Miami trades up, gets a tackle.
Gotta protect Tua, man. Gotta protect Tua or
Miami.
whoever's there.
They didn't trade up. I'm sorry. They traded Mika Fitzpatrick to Pittsburgh.
So they got Pittsburgh's pick here.
Exactly.
Which they used
Anyways,
for the
offensive
tackle.
line, Austin Jackson.
Solid
By
pick.
this time, I was thinking the Josh Jones guy from Houston was going to get picked, and he just
Yes.
never got picked. That's like my biggest like player that I thought was going to get picked in the first round that just fell forever was him.
Yes.
So I thought that
Absolutely.
was pretty crazy. Next
Absolutely.
up, Las Vegas. They got Damon Arnett from Ohio State. Not a fan of this pick. I think they jumped the gun. If you wanted him, you could have got him later.
Yeah, you could have traded out here. You could have went. I mean, who else was still available? I mean, you had Clavion Chassian was still available.
Jeff
there was-
Gladney, the cornerback, if you wanted him, was available. Diggs
Yeah.
was available. I felt like there were some other
Jefferson. Yeah,
cornerbacks
there was-
that were better.
Yeah,
So,
for
like,
sure.
Yeah, and I feel like this draft was a big like people drafting on needs, which is what it is every year. But I feel like this year they did it more, just because they probably didn't know the prospects as well. I know a
Right.
lot of the GMs and coaches and stuff have come on and said that they did know the prospects, but like, let's be honest, this was kind of a scouts draft,
Absolutely.
and so I don't know.
You're
I just
you're
feel
going to
like-
lean
I
on
feel
your
like-
scouts, I mean, because they're the ones looking in over, reviewing all the tape. You know, Steven and Jerry Jones don't have an opportunity to come in and meet CD and Clavion and everybody else,
Right.
at least face to face, because you get a different feel when you're face to face. You just do. That's just the way it goes. But they
Next
reached.
up, 20 overall, Jacksonville. They got. I always
Clavion.
butcher this guy's name. Clavion Chassion.
Chassion. We are so sorry if we butchered your name, man.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
But
So the Jacksonville Jaguars come in and they just get a number one cornerback and the best edge rusher in the draft.
I was
going
going to ask, as an AFC South champion, how do you feel about
We lost
Jacksonville?
the AFC South.
You basically won the AFC South. You're the second best team in the league, Lucas. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's right.
You won the
That's right,
AFC.
second best team in
You
the
got
league.
to the AFC Championship. You lost by less than the 49ers did. You're second best team. You're an AFC South champion. As an AFC South champion and second best team in the league, how do you feel about Jacksonville grabbing these two defensive players in the first round?
So here's my thing. Every single year, it gets to the draft with Jacksonville, and they've got a super high pick because they're garbage, and no one wants to be there. So they're like, they're having to trade people away because no one wants to be there, and that's giving them picks, and they're bad, so that's giving them a high pick. So anyways, I just feel like every year I'm like, oh man, Jacksonville drafted a stud on defense, and then like every year they lose another stud on defense because no one wants to play for them anymore, and it's a bad organization with bad ownership, and that's how it is. That's how it's been. It's gonna stay that way for a little while, probably.
Probably.
But I'm
Till they get
terrified.
somebody else.
Absolutely terrified.
Because they got two in the same round
Until the
this year.
season starts and Minshew Mania takes over and the defense is garbage and Derrick Henry's karate chopping people in the throat, I will be terrified until then.
Sounds good. I was just curious.
21 overall, Philly comes in, wide receiver,
Yes.
Jalen Rager, TCU, good guy.
Good guy. Thought that was a bit of a reach there with him in the first round. Feel like you probably could have picked him up in the second. Michael Pittman was still there at this point. Feel like he was a bit of a
Justin
better
Jefferson.
pick. Justin
Denzel
Jefferson
Mims.
was a better pick here. Personally, I love this pick as a Cowboys fan. I really do. But I mean, hey, you know, if that's their guy at receiver, that's their guy, and they rebuilt their receiving core over the course of the draft and a couple signees recently. So I mean, their receiving core is actually scary now.
Right.
Excuse my notifications.
Minnesota comes in and they get wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
Solid pick,
You gotta
man.
replace Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, give Kirk Cousins another weapon. Much needed. Adam Thielen's going to be the number one target. So we'll see how that goes this year.
23rd overall, LA Chargers, Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. I just feel like the Chargers are just another team that's like stacked with linebackers and outside linebackers and edge rushers and defensive
Yes.
players, but
I
they
mean,
can't win football games.
I mean, in front of this guy, he's going to have Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. So, I mean, he can come in and make an impact straight away. They go get their quarterback of the future. They draft a solid linebacker. I mean, incredible first round for the Chargers in their rebuilding year.
24 overall New Orleans take offensive lineman Cesar Ruiz. He's a center, I believe.
He is. He was
I was
listed as the best
surprised
center
with
in the
this.
draft. Yeah, apparently that was a weak point for New Orleans last year. And so, I mean, they wanted to show Drew Brees that they wanted to really give him every piece possible for his last couple years. They go out, they protect their franchise quarterback. They also did something a little different and possibly for the future of their franchise. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
25 overall San Francisco takes Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. I like this guy. He's a good guy, but I wish he was a little faster than he
Right.
actually is, but I think he'll still I wanted San Francisco to get Henry Ruggs because I felt like they needed that speed guy.
Right.
This is still good though.
Oh yeah, good pick. Good pick for sure. They
Let's see.
need somebody else a wide receiver.
26 overall. The Green Bay Packers trade up to
Dude,
select Jordan Love in the first round of the draft.
oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Okay, the
We're
Packers
going to talk about him
here-
later.
Yes,
We're going to talk about him later,
I'm
but
so upset with the Packers at this point. Okay, all right.
yeah.
Bad pick.
27 overall. Seattle takes linebacker Jordan Brooks.
I thought that was a bit of a reach. I mean, decent pick, I
Yeah.
guess. Good guy. I mean, but I really felt like you could have got him in the second round, to be honest with you.
I felt like Seattle was kind of all over the place
Yeah,
in this draft. I felt like they were a little strange.
Yeah, me too. It didn't really make sense to me. I felt like they probably could have gone, corner there. They could have gone somebody else, a wide receiver, maybe. Because, I mean, think about their wide receiving core last year. It was pretty much injury depleted there at the end. Doug Baldwin retires, and you have Tyler Lockett out for a while. So I really thought they were going to go receiver here. But, I mean, hey, they found a linebacker they like, so.
I hate this next pick because it's so good. Baltimore comes in, they get Patrick Queen from LSU, and I've got people on TV comparing him to Ray Lewis. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's
he
what
necessarily is Ray Lewis, but I do agree that he comes in and he has he plays like a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah,
Like he's got what they want.
comes
and
in,
just
brings that
hurts my
fire.
soul. Hurts my soul. Right here.
Ravens going to be good.
No. Lamar's going to choke. Again.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Ooh.
29 overall, Tennessee Titans come in. We pick up our right tackle, Isaiah Wilson. Bunch of
Now-
people are hating on it.
I was going to say,
Bunch of
not a
people
lot
are
of
hating on it hard, man.
not a lot of enthusiasm.
Like Mel Kiper gave us a C plus overall
Really?
rating. Yeah, Pro Football Focus came out and gave their official overall draft grades.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, for day 1 and 2 combined, we were like top 5. Now they've moved us. We're like a C plus.
Oh, geez.
And they hate the pick. They think he's just a running blocker. They think he can't pass block at all because he's so big. I think they're wrong.
And wasn't this a guy jumping out of swimming pools?
I think this was the guy that jumped out of the
6 or
swimming pool.
7 feet deep swimming pools. He was jumping clear out of it.
Well, my thing is that sure, he's big and he's not as fast. He's 350 pounds. He's not as fast as a tackle that's 275 pounds. But he's also, his arms are ginormous. They're as long as they can. It's going to take longer to get around him. And then if you do get a chance to get around this behemoth, he's just going to reach out and grab you. I don't think necessarily that footwork is always number one deal. I feel like Pro Football Focus just looks at specific stats, and and throws a red flag on it. It's like the player's bad because he's not as fast as some of the other ones. But I think the size kind of makes up for it. Get what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you mean there. I mean, do you feel like, that they should have picked a tackle here? Do you feel like they should have gone a different position? Or are you happy with that they went?
So
here?
I feel like what happened is, I feel like the run on tackles that we've seen that was going on, and like honestly, just the run on offensive linemen overall made us do this pick because we needed a tackle and we also needed a cornerback. And coming in, we thought it would be more cornerback heavy than it actually was. And so I think the problem was that it ended up being more tackle heavy. Like they were coming off the board. So just the draft trend, I think it was like they were like, okay, there's a better chance of a cornerback falling to us that we want than there is of any of the tackles we like falling to us.
Gotcha.
And I think it was like, this is the last tackle in the draft that we like, that we want, and they took him.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good.
Sweet. Look at you lagging
What
a
do
little
you
bit.
think, Jackson?
I think it's a good pick. I agree with you as far as the whole draft trend stuff. I know you guys really wanted Diggs or maybe some of the corners. But got to be able to get your tackle. If you're going to get a tackle at all, you weren't going to get a really good one later on in the draft. So I agree with you from that standpoint, especially because you lost Jack Conklin. So had to go.
I just remember, like, the Titans led the league in, what was it, like sacks per passing attempt? We led the league in that last year. Like, we got sacked
Yes.
more percentage-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, I need a line. I need an offensive line, Jackson.
I know, and I can see finally the connection's cleared up a little bit, so I can see your face moving around. And I can see the animations. It's lovely. It's a good time.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's got to be on your side because on my side everything is crystal clear. Like your face is perfect.
Oh well, thank you.
So it might. Yeah, you looking good, Jackson.
Yeah,
Looking good today,
appreciate
buddy.
it, yeah, kind of clean up the hair for a little
Fresh
bit.
cut.
A little fresh.
Ooh, look at you.
We're looking good.
30 overall. Miami comes in.
3 first-round picks, dude. That's absurd.
They got, I'm going to butcher this guy's name bad. They got the cornerback from Auburn. And his name is like Noah Igbinogi. I don't know what this man's last name is. I'm going to be honest. All right. It's like 16 syllables too long. And I need some help if I'm expected to read this.
Help.
Help. I thought this was a reach because Diggs was there. I didn't think this guy was as good as Diggs or Kristen Fulton.
I'm so happy that Diggs fell.
Or Jeff Gladney. And Jeff Gladney comes off the board next. Jeff Gladney goes to Minnesota. And Minnesota's probably just sitting there thinking that they have just got to steal. Anywho, last pick of the first round, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
I hated this pick. Kansas City takes Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I love Clyde. I loved watching him at LSU.
Yeah.
He made some big plays. I thought he was awesome. I hate this pick of him to the Chiefs in the first round.
Yeah, I feel like you could have fell to the second round and got him. I mean, I guess
I think it's too slow for them.
Yeah, well, hold on. They have their halfback, right? They got Damian Williams, okay? And he arguably was the Super Bowl MVP. That was our pick for the MVP.
In my book, he is.
Yeah. I mean, they gave it to Mahomes because, storyline, whatever. But he was arguably the Super Bowl MVP. And so you're going to take a running back in the first round? Feels like a bit of a reach to me. I feel like they could have gone in a different direction.
Right.
It's like, if you talk about the weaknesses for the Kansas City last year, defense. So I'm really surprised they did not spend their first round pick on defense at all. So they must have really liked this running back. Had to have.
I mean, I feel like they should have gone like corner or safety even there.
Corner or safety. I mean, who do you have in a backup? You got LaShawn McCoy. He's still got a year or two left, right? So it's not like you need It's not like you even need a backup halfback. So that's why I was really confused. But I mean,
so since we're talking like about if we like some of these picks or not, I want to look
Yeah.
at overall classes for some of these teams, right?
okay, yeah, let's look at them.
So since we're saying we don't like the Chiefs, I'll start off. I want to do the 5 draft classes we did not like. All right.
We did not. Okay.
Yeah, didn't like. I hated the Raiders. I felt like the Raiders were crazy. They were all over the place. I thought the Raiders reached last year on their picks. There's something about Gruden when he wants someone. It's like he's so terrified someone's going to take him. He just goes get him. Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like you got try to be a little smarter.
And I agree with you. I have the Raiders on my list as well. And you traded key guys like Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack out of your franchise to get these picks, and I feel like what they got out of these picks isn't near enough in what they traded for them. Like, they didn't get the same kind of value out of a Khalil Mack, who is arguably the best defensive player in football, or Amari Cooper, arguably the best route runner in football right now. So, I felt like they didn't do very well with their picks, so they landed on my list as well of 5 drafts I don't like. I was really surprised by that by Gruden.
All right, I didn't like the Bills.
Okay.
So I didn't like the Bills because they drafted a halfback. I didn't think they needed to do that. They drafted a quarterback. I didn't think they needed to do that. They took some defensive studs. I like that, but I would have liked to see some more help on the offensive side than the defensive side, considering their defense was awesome last year. But I guess I understand, considering I believe their head coach is like defensively oriented.
Yeah, he has he's known for his defensive schemes and his defensive prominence. He's geared that way.
I didn't like drafting a backup quarterback as early as they did.
Right. It felt kind of weird. Anyway, speaking of that, a team I did not like in the draft, and this is surprising to me because usually I like Pete Carroll's drafts, is Seattle. I felt like they were kind of all over the place. Linebacker Jordan Brooks, arguably the biggest reach of the draft, grabbing him there at 27. They also don't draft any wide receiver help for an injury depleted wide receiving core at the end of the year. They don't give Russell Wilson any more help there. I know they went in the first round last year, DK Metcalf. He's going to be a good wide receiver again. They have Tyler Lockett out there, but Tyler Lockett getting hurt last year, is he going to be injury prone again? I feel like they could have really built some depth at that position, especially picking at 27. There were still some good picks there, I felt like. So, I don't know. I felt like they were just kind of all over the place. And they also moved up in the second round to grab Tennessee player Darrell Taylor, who probably would have been there in the third or fourth. So I feel like they reached for him.
That was a big surprise.
Yeah. So anyway, Seattle. I don't often say this, but I didn't like Pete Carroll's draft this year.
Excuse me. I know I've said this multiple times on this show, but I love listening to the ESPN radio show, Jared and the GM, because it's the ex-GM of the Titans.
Yes.
And he was talking about the Seahawks drafts, and he said he didn't really like it, but he said he tended not to. And he said that it was like they just drafted like they made some strange picks, right?
Right.
Like some picks that you would often argue against. And they bring these guys in and they just coach them up, and then they end up being good players. He said, and it's worked for them, but you can't like
yeah.
He's like, it's like you're never going to like their draft, but somehow it works.
Yeah, like when they drafted
Russell Wilson's why it works. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like and they drafted Russell Wilson in the 4th or 5th round, earlier on in the decade, and worked out. Drafted Cam Chancellor, worked out. So, I mean, hey, they have I like their coaching. I like their scheme, and I think they're going to be a really dangerous team this year. But it just seemed a little odd.
So I felt like they were kind of everywhere too. Next team I didn't like was the Eagles.
Same.
Because obviously they took a quarterback.
Yeah.
Early.
And Zach, we know you're listening. Okay. Yeah. Carson Wentz washed. Okay. Overrated.
Look, Carson Wentz is overrated. That is a fact.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they needed to draft Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Correct. He would have been there in the
Confusion.
third.
Probably. And even then, I think you can get. I mean, if you're just getting a backup quarterback, Jake Fromm went in the 5th round or something like that. So I think that would have been okay.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, so here's the thing. In terms of, like, when I'm looking at drafts, I'm like, okay, what all did they get? It's like, yeah, I did not like the Eagles drafting the way they did, right? I feel like their wide receiver they took in the first round, they could have got him a little bit later. Could have picked a different one. Could have picked a Brandon Ayuk or somebody different. Drafting a quarterback in the second round, very odd to me. However, as a Cowboy fan, I love their draft because it felt like they didn't really hit on a lot of their players. And I could come back to eat those words. That is very possible. Rager could just torch us, man. I don't know. But, yeah, I didn't like the Eagles draft either. Although, as a Cowboy, from a Cowboys perspective, I did.
Another one I didn't like was the Chiefs. I said that already.
Same. They're all over the
I
place.
didn't know what was going on.
What was going on with their running back that they got in the first round? I mean, they're here, there, and everywhere. I didn't like their Chiefs.
And then the last
either.
one that I feel like you're going to take the reins on because you're a little upset is I hated the Packers.
Yes, absolutely.
You have the floor, Mr. Jackson.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know. First of all, you have a Super Bowl champion and MVP at quarterback. Okay? You have Aaron Rodgers, a.k.a. the bad man. Okay? All right? Discount, double check, and all. Aaron Rodgers has carried you and this franchise for the past 10 years. That's just facts. Okay? He was rated arguably the number 1 quarterback in the 2005 draft where you selected him. Right? But he fell to you at 24. Now, I'm going to compliment you for this because he was arguably the number 1 quarterback that fell to you at 24. You selected him, okay? Because when you have an opportunity to get somebody like that at 24, much like CeeDee Lamb for us at 17, you take him. But when you trade up to 24, after you already have a franchise quarterback, which, by the way, you have not drafted a single offensive weapon since you drafted Aaron Rodgers all the way back in 2005. You don't give him any weapons. You go and draft Jordan Love, who that signals to me, and I'm sure it signals to Aaron Rodgers, as his replacement. You have
traded up.
Traded up. That's what I'm saying. You traded up for Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers' replacement. You're already thinking about years without Aaron Rodgers. You put him on the clock. And I don't understand why. He's got a good 2 to 3 years left. You haven't ever drafted him a weapon in the first round. You know how many touchdowns he's ever thrown to a first-round pick? Ever? 1.
Like 16? Oh.
1. The only touchdown he's ever thrown to a first-round pick was last year, Mercedes Lewis. That's it. In his entire career. Right? And he is arguably one of the most prolific passers, if not one of the most purest passers we've ever seen in this game. And I feel like that if he'd had the proper weapons over the past 15 years, right? If you had drafted a couple big-time offensive weapons or signed him some offensive weapons in free agency, he'd be considered one of the best ever. He already is. He has 1 ring, but he already is considered one of the best ever just because his passes are some of the most purest you've ever seen, right?
Making Hall of Fame.
He's going to make the Hall of Fame, period, right? So I'm sad. I'm upset. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I've heard this debate several times recently over the past couple of days. I'm inclined to agree. I asked for a trade.
What?
I asked for a trade. I go somewhere else.
Right now?
Right now. Why do I want to stay with an organization and a team who clearly doesn't believe in me?
So look, here's my. So I feel like your main thing is they drafted a quarterback when they've got that bad man Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, why?
So I don't have as big of a problem with it because he's the same age as Brett Favre was when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, right?
Okay. Let me put it this way.
And he sat on the bench.
I wouldn't have a problem if Jordan Love had fell to them, which, considering the trending of this draft, he would have anyway. I have a problem if they traded up to get him.
Right. So apparently there were rumors that Matt LaFleur
Coach
wanted him
Cresson?
that bad. Like he wanted him so that like they went into the draft and he was saying he was going to do whatever he could to get that guy.
Yeah.
So you get him, and some people are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, and I'm sure that that has a certain allure to it. But I don't have a problem with planning for your future that may or may not contain Aaron Rodgers. Later on, like let's just say he's their backup and he comes in and he plays good, and you can trade him for some awesome first round draft picks later on, and it ends up being a really good flip in the future, and Aaron Rodgers stays your guy, whatever, right? My problem is that you were in the NFC Championship last year,
Good
and
point.
you're one win away from the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And you can argue that the only thing your team needs is some wide receivers.
Yes, Devontae Adams had injuries last year. He had a whole issue with his foot, right? Other than Devontae Adams, who do they have? Right? You find a running back last year. You find one. Excellent. Fantastic, right? One of the surprise fantasy sleepers of last year, right? If not the biggest fantasy sleeper from last year. And your defense is young, and it is versatile, and it was top 10, especially towards the end of the year. So why not give your Hall of Fame quarterback, franchise guy, a weapon? Why?
Jackson, they drafted a tight end.
I'm sick and tired.
I cannot
of
believe
drafting.
it. So they literally took a quarterback, and then they took a tight end.
Dude,
Blows my mind.
Aaron Rodgers can go win a ring with somebody else right now.
In terms of him asking for a trade, I feel like that's harsh. Like he was just in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, but I've heard there's been some reports coming out that Matt LaFleur, like, he doesn't like Rodgers. Like, he did this trade as a signal to Rodgers, like, hey, your time's running out. We don't see eye to eye.
Yeah, but those reports didn't come out until Jordan Love got drafted by him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. Like all year people were like, they've got a great relationship. But now all of a sudden they've got a bad relationship. We don't know what kind of relationship they got. People just like to start crap, and it's just speculation, which we love. We love speculation because that gives us stuff to talk about on here. But I don't think you put your job in jeopardy, your franchise in jeopardy, over a bad relationship you have with your franchise quarterback who just took you to the NFC Championship. I think it's got to be that he fell in love with him. He thinks he's the next Patrick Mahomes, and he has it stuck in his head that he wants to be that guy. Because this is the thing about Matt LaFleur, okay? His whole coaching career, it seems like he's had like these little idols that he wants to mirror. All right,
Okay.
he's with Sean McVay, and then he comes to the Titans, and he wants to be Sean McVay. He wants to have that kind of offense. He tries to run that with the completely wrong weapons at Tennessee, and it obviously does not work, and he makes some terrible play calling, and somehow he gets a head coaching job.
Right.
And now this guy who never should have got the job has just drafted a quarterback and is pissed off your franchise quarterback that just took you to the NFC Championship,
That's what I'm saying.
and you're just... And so it's just like...
So why should Aaron Rodgers want to stick with that? Because his time is running out on his window to win a championship is running out. So why would you want to stay?
Where's he going to go where he has a better chance than at Green Bay? Still.
Better chance
Even
at
though he
Green
has
Bay
no weapons.
right now. I mean, I feel like he could make a good case with the Chargers.
Better than
I feel
Green
like
Bay?
I feel like they have maybe not rather than Green Bay, but I feel like they're like Phillip Rivers choked a lot of games last year. And I feel like if you have Aaron Rodgers, you add him to that offense with Keenan Allen, you keep Hunter Henry, you have Mike Williams, you just drafted some stud defensive players. I feel like you make a run at it.
The
I feel like
Chargers got Herbert, though.
yeah, but they're going to start Tyrod Taylor this year over him anyway.
Until he sucks and Herbert comes out like week 6 and starts.
Right, but if you have Rodgers for 2 years and then you put in Herbert, you're good. From a Chargers perspective, you go into win now mode. It just depends on what they want to do. right? If Phillip Rivers wasn't in Indy, I could say the Rodgers going to Indy.
They won't trade him. They won't trade him because they want to follow the Green Bay plan like they did with Brett Favre. They want to wait 3 years.
Yeah, but if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm pissed off if I'm Aaron Rodgers, bro. Upset. Instead of giving me a weapon, you give me Jordan Love.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a diva. He's kind of that crybaby that would start some stuff.
Yeah.
That would go in and like threaten to do some stuff.
Maybe threaten
to ruin some lives. I feel like.
Yeah. Maybe threaten.
I don't think there's going to be any trade or anything,
but he should consider asking for one.
Yeah, honestly, I think Matt LaFleur just fell in love with him. And back to the idolizing thing, I think, like I said about the Sean McVay deal, after watching the Super Bowl last year and then seeing Jordan Love and seeing Patrick Mahomes, he just falls in love with the idea of having his own Patrick Mahomes. And that's not possible. But I think that's what he's trying to do.
I think so too. Set this back.
Anywho, is that all you got about the Packers?
Yeah,
I know you were fired up for it.
Dude, that's all I got about the Packers. I'm mad if I'm Aaron Rodgers. I take that as a sign that they're ready to kind of move on. Whatever statement that they say, and that's probably going to. And like you said, Aaron Rodgers is that type of guy to go out there and start messing with some stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he asked for a trade.
Can you really be mad at your franchise though for planning for the future?
This is different than just planning for the future. This pick at round 1, this early trading up for him is.
They did the same thing to Brett Favre.
No,
he knows about this.
He fell to them. Of course you take him. They didn't fall to him. They traded up to go get him. That's different. It's way different.
I don't think it's like, oh, it's way more disrespectful now because they traded up to get him. I think it's wild that they traded up to get Jordan Love.
It's disrespectful when you don't get a first round weapon for him for 15 years, and then you just draft his replacement. That's disrespectful.
I mean, I think that's disrespectful, but I don't think drafting his replacement is disrespectful. Planning for the future.
We have a disagreement here, but
what's disrespectful is that they didn't draft a wide receiver in the second round.
Or the first.
I mean, who else was really left there? Like Justin Jefferson?
Heck yeah, I'd take Justin Jefferson.
I mean, he's good, but he's not going to change your team, I don't think. I might be wrong. I think some people have been a little high on him.
Right, but still, like you got to give this man some help, man.
Help.
He's been screaming help for 15 years.
Well, look, I'm going to ask you some questions, Mr. Jackson. You're going to have to answer. You ready?
Ooh, I like questions.
Best pick in the draft.
The best pick in the draft? CeeDee Lamb at 17.
Yeah, I agree. CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys, dude fell to him. They took the best player. What else can you say? Just turns out the easiest pick in the draft was also the best.
Correct.
All right, worst pick in the draft.
The worst pick in the draft I have with Seattle. And Seattle, they draft, I mentioned this earlier on the show, they draft linebacker Jordan Brooks at 27 from Texas Tech. I feel like it was a reach, but they could have got him somewhere else.
So my worst pick is the Eagles taking Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I thought we were just doing first round. I got you. Yeah, Jalen Hurts in the second.
I just went with the whole draft. I thought that was wild, bro.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Most surprising pick.
Giants taking Andrew Thomas at 4 when you have Isaiah Simmons available.
I thought the Jordan Love, trading up to get Jordan Love was the most surprising. Never in my brain did I dream that they would trade up to get a quarterback. Not because of the disrespect towards Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers did too. Didn't dream of it.
The reason I didn't think that is because I felt like they needed to add more weapons to win a Super Bowl. Even if they would have taken a defensive guy there, I would have been more fine than this. But
Agreed.
they didn't.
They didn't. Sad.
So a little more on the draft talk, Mr. Jackson. We were talking about trades a little bit, but there weren't really a lot of trades. So I wanna know what your thoughts are on like maybe why there weren't a lot of trades in this draft. Because if you look at like past drafts, like sometimes you feel like, and you hear teams talk about it, it's like the phone was going off the hook for this pick, da da da. And I just felt like in this draft, it wasn't a big deal. And even if you hear like some GMs talk about it, they were like, it got to our pick. Like the Titans were like, it got to our pick and no one wanted it. That was basically it. Like they had talked to some people a little bit and tried to fill some things out the day before, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any offers.
I mean, it's, like you said, I feel like it was a scouts draft this year. You know, the whole virtual component, you add that into with the head coaches and with the owners, not getting to meet these guys face to face. They couldn't really fall in love with a guy who was in their office talking to him, and really feel like that they needed to go out and get him. So they're gonna, they're gonna do what they have to do. They're gonna trust their scouts. I was super happy with the Cowboy scout Will McClay, who heard from Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy told him, he said, player over scheme. Draft the best player. That's what we want to go for. Give us the best players that you got for our draft board. And so he said that really resonated with him. And so that's what he did. He put the best players that he could find, that he could scout, on the board. And Jerry and Mike trusted that. And so, which I think shows a lot coming in from a first-year head coach, trusting his scouts like that. That we're going to go with the best players that you guys think are available and agree with. So I just think the virtual component, not being able to travel, not being able to work out with the guys one-on-one, had a lot to do with it. So you just got to trust that your scouting department knows what they're doing in that sense. So, and I don't feel like anybody really wanted to take a lot of risks with messing up a trade and not being there directly. So that's kind of why I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of trades.
So I think that like, so I've heard like the GM of the Titans came out and I think he actually said that he thought they had more information on players than they usually do.
Okay.
I don't think there was that, since you didn't get to really meet the players in person. I don't think any teams had that infatuation with someone where it was like, we love this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's our guy.
Like obviously some did. Packers. But I don't think it was like it usually is. Like they meet someone in person and just hit it off the bat, and then Jerry comes in there and he's standing on the table and he's like, "You're gonna get this player. I don't care when you have to take him, what you have to do. Like we're getting it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think COVID hurt us when it came to draft day drama, because we didn't really get as much. Although I will say, speaking of draft day drama, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
Was that not the saddest draft you've ever watched in your life?
Dude, oh my gosh, felt like
it was. They need to tone back the sadness, man. I was getting depressed sitting here watching these first round draft picks.
At times,
it's supposed to be the happiest time of their life, man, and I was out here just.
Dude, yeah, that's what
it was like every time I got Zach in my ear while we were watching. Every time he's like, "Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, that's sad."
Yeah, it's like, good Lord, they're really playing up the drama here, man. Oh my gosh, like there wasn't a lot of trades and buzz going around, so you had to generate something, I guess. Yeah, it was quite sad. At times, I had to mute it and just watch like that, because I was starting to get a little teary eyed hearing some of these stories. But I mean, it just shows you kind of the perseverance and dedication that a lot of these guys and athletes have had. Like this was one of the deepest drafts I can remember. And I said this on Hometown Heroes before, but Jerry said that he hasn't felt as good about a draft that they've had since 2005 when they got Marcus Spears and DeMarcus Ware in the first round.
Well, CeeDee Lamb fell in your lap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. We haven't felt this good about the draft in a long time. We're feeling real good.
Yeah.
We addressed a lot of needs, too.
I think we've covered the draft stuff, Mr. Jackson.
We have. We're not going to
I'm
give
almost-
our 5 that we liked.
Oh, we skipped the 5 that we like. I'm sorry.
I was just following your lead, bud. I'm just here.
That's
I'm just
my
here
bad. My bad. Okay. Five draft classes we did like. I can't. Sorry, I just completely read over all my notes, man.
We're good. We're chilling.
All right. Obviously the Cowboys.
Obviously, I mean, when you get Lamb,
like they
Lamb
hit.
I'll say just a couple sentences. We get Lamb at 17, right? He was valued as the number 6 overall player for Pro Football Focus. Diggs, he was valued at number 31 overall player for Pro Football Focus. We get him at 50 at the 51st pick, second round. He falls all the way to us. Thank you. By the way, Jerry Jones projected it was a 1% chance that Diggs was going to fall to us in the second round, and he did. Love it. We talked about him going in the first round to the Titans in our mock draft. Finally, we get Neville Gallimore, drafted at the 51st best overall player, and we draft him at 83. So very happy, especially with our first 3 rounds. We go get a corn-fed center out of Wisconsin in like 5th round. All right, we get a stud. Okay. We drafted 2 cornerbacks who we think can come in and play right away. We're thinking of moving one of our corners back to safety, where he kind of originally played like in high school. So I don't know. There's some different things that we can move around with this draft. I gotta stop. This ain't Hometown Heroes, but I like the Cowboys draft.
The second one I liked was the Titans.
Yeah.
Everyone's hating on it, but I felt like if you look at the team and you look at the amount of draft picks that we actually had, because we didn't have a lot, I feel like that's one reason our grade's not as high to a lot of people. I mean, if you look at it, we got the future starting right tackle. So
Yes.
the offensive line is now solidified.
Right. Just huge.
We got Kristen Fulton fell to us, honestly.
Steal.
One of the
Absolute
best
steal.
cornerbacks. Yeah, one of the best cornerbacks in college football. And if you go and you look, I know a lot of people have problems with the failed drug test thing. So this is what happened, Jackson. So I got to hear the story of what happened.
Lay it on me.
Apparently what happened is he, I guess, he'd either been around weed or he had smoked weed.
Right.
All right. And he didn't know that at LSU you're actually allowed to fail one. If you come up front and tell them like, "Hey, I smoked some weed this weekend. I'm about to fail this drug test," you know?
Oh, okay.
They give you a freebie. He didn't know that. So instead he had someone else try to take the drug test for him. Try to use their urine. He got caught. He failed the test. And he got suspended for a year.
Dang.
But I thought that was funny because he actually told him that he was just around it. And so it's like, so you were just around someone that smoked weed. So you went as far as to have someone else try to fake your drug test for you. Apparently he's
Interesting.
changed now. And it made him miss football even more.
I'll tell you what,
So,
man. If Diggs wasn't there, we were taking Fulton. Absolutely.
Probably.
If Diggs
I
wasn't
feel like
there.
Yeah, I feel like he was a first-round player that fell because of the whole drug test thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not really worried about him in our locker room being a problem. So,
Right.
super excited about that. We got our halfback that we needed. I feel like if you look at the team, we drafted for what we needed. Next team I liked, 49ers.
Absolutely.
16 gazillion trades. They did some awesome maneuvering.
They were the draft trade drama. Or draft
They
day
come
drama
out-
trade. Yeah.
Yeah, they come out with a tackle that replaces their tackle that just retired.
Buckner. The other Jackal. Yeah.
Yeah, they get Trent Williams from the Redskins.
So
I'm counting
happy.
that as part of their draft.
Can I just say, I'm so happy for Trent Williams, by the way. After that story that we read last year on, I forget which episode, but his whole encounter with the Washington Redskins and him wanting to play and him battling, his tribulations and stuff, I'm very happy he ended up on a contender, and that he's able to go in and play and play straight away. That makes me so happy. My heart warms for that guy. Incredible story.
Yeah. They got the replacement. They got Ken Law to come in and replace their boy, DeForest Buckner. They got a wide receiver. I just feel like they did everything they needed to do.
Yeah. 49ers, solid.
Yeah. Next up, I got the Ravens. I mean, they got another halfback to come in that's going to help them. They got a wide receiver.
They get their linebacker.
They got a linebacker.
Who apparently, like we said
Ray
before,
Lewis.
is kind of like Ray Lewis. So if you get even a mention of Ray Lewis in your comparison at all, I mean, you got to be a phenomenal player to even get his name mentioned anywhere close to yours. So,
Yep.
Solid pick.
Lastly, I got the Vikings because they had like 14 draft picks.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And they addressed all kinds of needs.
Yes.
They did a lot of stuff. So you can't have a bad draft when you got 14 picks.
Yeah, for sure. I think they be very surprised they're not a playoff team. All right, so I got a couple different teams from you, so I'm glad that we kind of changed this up a bit. Obviously, I have Dallas. I already spoke on them. Next, I have Jacksonville. I like their draft because, especially for the first round, you get Jeff Henderson and you get Klayvon Chassian in the first round, 2 defensive studs that can come in straight away and help your team. I know you're in complete rebuilding mode. I am sick and tired of Gardner Minshew and his mustache. I was really surprised they didn't take a quarterback earlier. That's my only kind of negative with them in their draft. But they get this guy from Colorado. Did a little bit of research on him. His name is Laviska Shenault. Okay, I think I probably butchered your name. Yeah, wide receiver, Colorado. He's big and very physical. He's broken 44 tackles since the 2018 season, which is the most in college football since that time. And he just can kind of go up and grab that ball and give them a little bit of help. They lost, they lost Marquise Goodwin, I believe, in free agency. So, or some wide receiver. Anyway, but so helps them out. And so I think I like Jacksonville's draft as well. Tampa Bay, like Tampa Bay's draft. They go in and they show Tom Brady that they're willing to go get a tackle for me if they only trade up one spot. Tristan Wirfs, they grab him out of Iowa, corn-fed. Okay, that's the best kind. They also get safety Antoine Winfield Jr., and as well as a big-time steal. Okay, so Pro Football Focus, they ranked this wide receiver Tyler Johnson at 48. And the Tampa Bay, the rich get richer. They drafted him at 161. So apparently he's amazing at creating separation and has a big-time rating with high contested catches. So you already got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Tom Brady, and Gronk, and we're going to go ahead and get a steal at the wide receiver spot.
And they got him a halfback. Love Tampa Bay's. Also like the Broncos. Drafted Jerry Jeudy and KG Hamler, right? Addressed their big-time need for wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. Also addressing some needs at corner and offensive line later on in the draft. So liking what they're doing with Denver, moving in the proper direction. Lastly, the Cardinals, man. When you get Isaiah Simmons at 8, that's absolutely absurd, right? They draft offensive tackle Josh Jones. I know you were talking about him earlier in the draft. He fell to them at 72. You and me both had him going, I think, in the first 20 picks or something like that in the first round. He falls to 72. Solid pickup for protection for Kyler Murray. They also addressed some D-line with Levi Fotu from Utah and Rashard Lewis from LSU. So address some big needs there. So I like those drafts. I feel like they did really well. Marquise Lee. The Titans in there, Jackson.
It was Marquise Lee, not Marquise Goodwin. Good God. Goodwin was a Niner. It's Marquise Lee. Excuse me. From Jacksonville. I remembered it now.
What a guy. Anywho, speaking of, some players have changed places, we got to talk about a Sir Jameis Winston has signed with the Saints for the cheap. Cheap.
Yes.
Like $1 million with like up to $3 million in incentives or something like that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Absolute steal for the Saints.
So, like, what I want to know, Jackson, is so he came out and he said that he took a pay cut because he wanted to learn from Drew Brees, right?
Smart guy.
And from Sean Payton, the coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, like, what does that show you from Jameis Winston that he was willing to take that big of a pay cut?
I think this whole Tom Brady thing, I think really showed him that he was expendable, that he has a lot to work on. I mean, what did he lead the league in passing yards? Or he was up there as top 3. But he also led the league in interceptions, so he has a lot to learn. So I feel like he kind of, he came in as a number one pick for Tampa Bay several years ago in the same class as Mariota. Didn't live up to expectations. He had a better year last year, but obviously not the best. And he, ends up leaving his kind of hometown team. And I feel like he kind of is reevaluating his career and wants to learn from the best to do it. Who better to learn from than Drew Brees and Sean Payton? I mean, if they can do what they did for Teddy Bridgewater, he's kind of following that model. Yes, they went and grabbed Taysom Hill as well to kind of keep him in that offense with that Wildcat. But, I mean, if Brees goes down, Jameis Winston has an opportunity to play immediately. They get a big-time steal with the money they're able to give him, and he's proved that he could be a starter in this league. And so if you can kind of develop Winston over the next year or two and he's willing to come in and learn and take it, while at the same time keeping the best quarterback your franchise has ever seen, win-win for the Saints. So,
yeah,
really happy with that.
Just to build on some of the stuff you already said, I definitely think that this is going to be good for him. He came out and he has actually had laser eye surgery. So
yeah, I saw that.
My man can read road signs and license plates now. So he's moving up in the world.
Yeah,
all right.
He's like, I thought I threw it to number 13, throwing it to number 31.
That's wild. It looked like he wasn't. That's not quite where he was. But anyway, so I thought that was funny. But I definitely think it shows that he wants to learn that. He had the opportunity to go somewhere and fight for a starting job, I believe.
Absolutely.
And instead he decided to come and learn from one of the GOATs. Right?
Definitely.
And
Hall of Famer. Automatic.
I think it's him looking at the future of his career and trying to put the future ahead of the now.
Yes. It's incredibly smart.
So maybe a little maturity on Jameis Winston's part.
Absolutely. Good signs, only good signs.
Which is something pretty much everyone can agree he's had a problem with. I
think now that we see this and he's willing to come in and take a pay cut and learn from some better people, he also has the smarts and the wherewithal to understand that this happened with Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater had a horrific knee injury. He goes in and fights for a backup spot, comes to New Orleans. They revitalize his career, and now he's a starter in Carolina. Maybe the same thing can happen for him. He can learn a lot from Sean Payton and from Drew Brees, both alike. They're going to teach him how to win. They're going to teach him how to practice, how to prepare. I feel like Winston really would have benefited coming into the league and waiting and being a backup for a year and learn how to be a pro first. So I think this is going to help.
So
good things.
So you brought up Taysom Hill.
I did. They resigned
him.
Taysom
Hill signed a 2-year, $21 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he's getting 10.5 a year. I want to know what this says about Taysom Hill. The fact that the Saints literally went and got a backup quarterback. So that means they went out of their way to talk to Jameis Winston about being a backup. Yeah. In my head, they have no faith in the backup quarterback who they're paying $10.5 million.
Right.
And that makes no sense. You're paying $10.5 million for a third-string quarterback and a little gadget guy that runs around and does some random stuff. But I don't think he does $10 million worth of stuff.
Right. They're paying that gadget. They're paying for that gadget player. They're not paying for that third-string quarterback. They don't expect him to come in and be a quarterback. Taysom Hill has been quite vocal that he wants to come in and compete for a starting job as a quarterback. He feels like he could do it. He feels like he can show. He's been showing all the different talents that he possesses. I mean, he can go out, he can catch the ball, he could run the ball. He's big, he's physical. But the Saints realize that they have had quite a lot of success using Taysom Hill in their offense for some different schemes and different looks and different matchups that they can have, and they get a lot of big plays out of it. So, is it worth $10 million? I don't know. I feel like if you combine the salary for Winston and for Hill, what's that? $12 million. Give or take 11 to 12 million. Is that about what you would pay for a backup? I don't know. Maybe that's a tad expensive, but because of the way they're able to make the cap work and because of the firepower that he brings and versatility, why not? But you are right. They don't believe in Taysom Hill as a backup unless they would have just kept him
I think it's just wild to pay.
and not sign Winston.
So like he's your third string quarterback,
Yes.
and you're like there are wide receivers that do the stuff Taysom Hill does better than he does it at a cheaper price. Blows my mind.
But it comes in every time you see this guy enter the field, you know either something wacky and crazy is about to happen, or he just brings that versatility. You can do wide receiver passes with him. You could do end around fakes, runs with him. You can do. He just allows you to really open up that playbook. And from what we know from Sean Payton is he loves opening up the playbook. It's just another tool in their arsenal. And if they weren't going to go out and sign somebody big, you know, I mean, it's been working for them the past several years. I know it's crazy, but
I just think it's wild for a team that is in cap trouble to pay that much for that guy.
they must really like what he brings on offense, yeah.
And Taysom Hill came back because obviously no one else was going to pay him that much.
Absolutely not.
Like no one else was going to pay him that much, and he wanted to be a quarterback.
Because they don't believe in him as a backup quarterback,
or even
a starter,
as all the other stuff. I don't think. So it is time to move on to Take It or Leave It.
Ooh, it's my favorite part, baby. Let's get it.
Your favorite part? All right, for those that don't know, Take It or Leave It segment we do every week. I present Jackson with about 5 statements. He says, takes it, leaves it, explains why. It's a good time.
It's literally my favorite part. It's so
He doesn't know any of this stuff that I'm going to say. So, him. Take it or leave it, Mr. Jackson. Andy Dalton. So you know Andy Dalton got released.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone knows. Andy Dalton got released from the Bengals. Rumors are that he signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars because their offensive coordinator is apparently Jay Gruden, who used to work with Andy Dalton.
Interesting.
Take it or leave it that the Jacksonville Jaguars sign Andy Dalton.
I feel like you take it because I can't honestly believe. But here's the thing. I can and I can't. I can believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars would stick with Gardner Minshew Mania, and try and sell mustaches. I can believe it because of, like you said before, bad management, bad ownership. They constantly make the same mistakes. I can believe it. But at the same time, I can't because you're an NFL team, right? You want to win, right? You're not going to win with Minshew Mania. It's just not going to happen. It's a little spur of the thing that happens every couple of seasons. Some guy goes crazy who's unknown, and people go crazy over him. Anyway, if you want to be serious, you go out and you get you a starter. Andy Dalton has proved he can start in this league. I know it didn't work out with Cincinnati, but he's had good years with them before. You got to give him some weapons. You got to give him some tools around him. And I feel like, and he's looking for a fresh start as well. Why not move to Florida and go start for the Jaguars? It's a no-brainer for me. Unless they feel like they can get Cam Newton.
I feel like it's the only place. I mean, it really makes sense. I'm going to take it too because they need him. Bring some competition in. Even if you bring him in and you tell Minshew that he's going to be a backup, or that Minshew's going to be the starter, but that the other guy's coming in to be the backup.
Right.
Andy Dalton's coming.
Andy Dalton's coming in to back up, but he's going to compete for your job. So work over.
So I'm going to take it because I think it fits.
I think so too.
I don't see any other place that fits him better.
Both teams get a fresh start.
Some people are saying he's going to go to the Patriots, but as my next thing says, take it or leave it, Jarrett Stidham will start for the Patriots this year.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to take it because it really looks like it's about to happen.
That's the thing, man. It looks like it's really going to happen. I, for one, can't believe it. I'm completely shocked. They didn't draft a quarterback in the draft at all. They didn't touch one. Bill Belichick did come out and say that was not by design. I think we all saw the dog drafting, and the dog decided not to pick a quarterback, right? Probably going to pick Jake Fromm or somebody, but the dog said no. Anyway. I feel like you got a couple options out there. You got Andy Dalton. You got Cam Newton. looking for a starting job. It just depends on the cap. I just don't know if it makes sense for them to cap or somebody's going to come in and take it. I'm going to say leave it. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say they signed Cam.
So I'm going to take it because everything that you see, everything that he says about him, you know that Tom loves to promote from within. It just seems like next man up mentality. Tom's gone, and this guy's stepping in. And we're going to tank for Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. That's quite possible. And, Stidham could come out and end up being somebody great. You never know. I mean, Brady was a 6th-round pick. Bledsoe goes down. Nobody knows who Brady is. All of a sudden, this dude's a GOAT. So, we'll see. It's happened before. Multiple times. No one knew who Romo was, but Bledsoe went down.
Take it or leave it. Bears trading a 4th-round draft pick for Nick Foles and picking up that incredibly high salary like they did. Although I think they got him to maybe restructure it somewhere or whatever. But them trading for Nick Foles was premature.
No. I don't think so. I leave it. I feel like Nick Foles offers you. I mean, he's a Super Bowl champion, right? He can come in and in the right system, he can thrive. Eagles players were very vocal in saying that the offense simply worked better with Nick Foles as opposed to Carson Wentz. He goes down last year with an injury. I felt like he wasn't 100% ready to come back. He forced himself back to try and keep his job. He goes to Chicago. They have an amazing defense, right? Matt Nagy's an incredible coach. And I feel like you take it. I feel like it's not premature if you're going to get rid of Mitch Trubisky and his option with his $24 million guaranteed or something insane. If you are going to pick up Mitch Trubisky's option and keep him, it's definitely premature because why would you pay him all that money for a backup?
So here's the thoughts on why it's premature. So it's premature because if they would have waited, Nick Foles most likely would have been released. And then you would have had Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and Cam Newton, all free agents, all of them they all had like 15 plus left on their deal. But now if you traded for them, you'd have to pick that up. Nick Foles had 19, the highest out of the 3. But if they're released, you don't have to pick it up. You sign on to a much cheaper contract.
True.
So that's the thoughts behind it now. But I feel like at the time, you can't make that decision because you don't know what's going to happen.
I agree.
You didn't know about Cam Newton being a free agent yet at that time.
My exact point. Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, if they go back and like, oh, well, we definitely know Cam's going to be free agent. All these guys are going to be free agents, so duh, we wait. We keep the 4th-round pick, of course. But like you just said, you're not going to know what everybody else is thinking or what they're trying to do. You're not going to know if somebody's going to try and use Cam as for draft capital in the upcoming draft, or Andy Dalton's going to be free agent. You just don't know. So if you can get a Super Bowl champion as a quarterback, you take him. I think they're going to decline Mitch Trubisky's option. I feel like Mitch Trubisky will become a free agent as well. Because I don't see why you pay both that much money.
Take it or leave it. The 49ers have had one of the best post-Super Bowl loss off seasons, ever. Like in terms of, a lot of times you see teams go to the Super Bowl and then you see some drop-offs. They run into some cap issues. Some things happen. It really looks like the 49ers have handled this very well for this offseason. Very, very well. They're poised to go back.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely poised to go back. They've addressed several needs. Time will tell. We'll find out. The only thing I worry about is if trading off some of those guys, sometimes when you think you're getting somebody better, somebody cheaper, and that's true. But sometimes you just mess up the chemistry with the defensive line or with the locker room. And so it's just going to be how important it was to force Buckner to that locker room. How important was he to the practice of that defensive line, to the structure of it, to the rotation. I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like it's kind of hit or miss at this point. They could go down as one of the best post-Super Bowl loss off seasons restructuring in history, or they can go down as the guys who lost the Super Bowl, they gave up an early lead, and they hit the panic button. It's one of the two at this point. History will end up being the judge of that. I like the moves that they've made so far, so I'm leaning towards this side of them being productive. But, I mean, we'll find out in like 3 or 4 years. So, time will tell, but I'm leaning towards them making some really good moves. I can see why they did it, especially for Deshaun Watson. It's going to happen.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna happen. I think they definitely have handled it awesomely, especially compared to some of the past teams that have been and how they've bounced back afterwards in the offseason. So I want to probably not necessarily say one of the best ever because it's hard to gauge that at the time. But they've done a really, really, really good job. Last one, Jackson.
Ooh.
Take it or leave it. This year's draft will be something that teams look at as a way to reduce the hours that they usually spend at the facilities getting ready for the draft. So I know you've heard a bunch of talk about this, and some coaches and GMs have come out and they're like, we have been able to work more efficiently and get more information and more stuff done at home, doing stuff, watching film, sending coaches home, watching film over such and such players and scouts and stuff like that, compared to doing it at the facility. And the extreme amount of work hours that come with being a coach or a scout in the professional football league.
For sure. I mean, let's take a look at. I remember going in watching the Super Bowl, and they did a little special on Andy Reid, and the guy got to come around and follow Andy Reid for his pregame, his routine throughout the week, and got to see what it was like to be Andy Reid for a day. Andy Reid said, "Okay, I'll pick you up at 3." It's like, "You're picking me up at 3 p.m.? Why?" I said, "No, I'm picking you up at 3 a.m. We're heading to the facility at 3 a.m. We got to be there. We got to get all this work in before our players come in so we have them properly prepared." Like, the amount of hours, like, if you want to be at an elite level, the amount of hours that you have to put in is absolutely absurd. And so I think that I've heard some stories, like you said, as far as the draft goes, of working from home a little bit more, watching some film, doing a lot of this stuff remotely because we have the technology to do it. And they get to spend a little more time with their family. And I feel like sometimes that could be a big boost for a lot of these coaches because, especially with the grueling hours you're putting in over the season, especially in the playoffs, sometimes that work-life balance can get a little bit tilted, favored to one side. And I feel like mental clarity and mental health is a really important thing. And if you're having that extra time with your kids, with your family, taking them to school, picking them up, helping them with their homework, whatever it is you have to do, that's just going to help with their mental health and happiness, and that's going to translate onto the football field. If you're having a better time and a more happier life and you feel like you're more sustained and you're fulfilled in multiple avenues, then every avenue of your work is just going to be that much better, right? So I feel like that's something they really take a look at, especially for the draft, and giving those coaches a little bit of a break, let them work a little more efficiently around draft time. I think that can really pay off, especially in the season.
Yep, I'm gonna take it. I just feel like there's a lot of positives that can come out of it as long as they don't go too far with it.
Right.
Because I think there's also some extreme negatives, just like there is with anything else.
Sure.
But that's it for Take It or Leave It, Mr. Jackson. All right.
Man.
Before you say your farewells and stuff. All right. Side note, I know we don't really talk college football, but it's been a crazy week for recruiting for the Tennessee Vols, and I gotta say this.
Do it.
It's been wild, Jackson. Okay. I started off my note with the Tennessee Vols are owning the apocalyptic recruiting. Because they are. I don't know what this man's doing, but Pruitt's doing some wild stuff. Okay. In the last 5 days, we've had 2 5-stars, 2 4-stars, and a 3-star commit to us. Now, It's not an ink at the moment, so that can change. But we're number 3 in overall recruiting right now. Our recruiting class is number 3, and we're number 1 in
the. Excellent, bro. Excellent.
Bravo.
Hey, that's crazy.
Now, for all I know, they'll all go to Alabama and LSU when it comes time to officially sign.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of college football, I know we didn't really plan for this segment, but since you brought it up, Possibility of perhaps college football season maybe transferring to the spring. I've heard some rumors. I don't know how true that is, or what would happen. But I guess in that case, should the college football season shift, or should it change or be delayed this year, or whatever, what have you, we'd be more than happy to cover it during the spring. I think that'd be a good time.
Yeah, I think
Again, I don't know
it's gonna
how
be
true it
fine.
is. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be fine. Looking at some of the COVID data and stuff we got coming out from Testing US right now, and looking at the fact that most colleges, if not all of them, I don't know. I'm pretty sure most of them are planning on coming back for the fall. It hurts too many schools for you not to have college football. The money and the TV deals and everything, even
Yeah.
if you play without fans, because there are some schools that play football and that pays for all their other programs.
yeah,
And so,
it's true.
yeah, so I think it's going to go down like regular. I think it's going to be fine. Now they might maybe
Shift
push
some
it back
stuff
a little
around.
bit. They
Right.
might shorten it or something. But I think we're still going to have it.
I think so too. I think so
Like
too.
on time, relatively around the same time and stuff. They
We'll
just might
see.
push it back some.
Yeah. We'll see. Guys, the draft was amazing. It was fun. We had a good time at the virtual draft party. Me and Lucas are both really happy with our team's picks, as well as some different teams around the league. It's been a good time. We're really happy to be back in full swing with the Go For Two podcast. We're recording and uploading more than we ever have before. It's a great time. Be sure to check out the Hometown Heroes segment on YouTube. Also follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, all of them. We're everywhere. Be sure to like, comment, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. And leave us some comments, man. I mean, Casey's blowing you guys out of the water each and every week. I mean, come on. All right?
No competition.
No competition, man. You guys got to give him a little bit of love, okay? But yeah, I mean, good show. Super happy with it. We're gonna be back with more stuff next week, continuing to cover the NFL, and super happy you guys are with us. Thank you all for listening.